Welcome, folks, to this, what are we at here, the Sunday, the August the 23rd edition of the Ubicenter Freebirds Sports Update Show. We're coming at you here a day late, but not a dollar short. Joining me here on the show, Brett Bloomfield with the, I call it the front office at the ball club here. How you doing, Brett?
I'm doing great.
Great to have you here. The Freebirds have been on the road for the last week after, well, how do you sum up the last home trip for the home stand for the Freebirds before they went on the road? It was, they had a little bit of spark when they played Boise, right? They won a couple of games there when Boise came into town, and after that they kind of ran into a buzzsaw with the Oakland Ballers. Then go down to Long Beach and play a few games down there. They lost. They lost all three down at Long Beach, and they come back and play the Roadsters, and that was kind of a bright spot to really get them going. They won 2 of 3 against the Roadsters, who'd come into that series, only lost one game the entire second half of the season to us, and then they end up losing 2 more games in that series. What do you think that does for the Roadsters leaving, kind of having their hats handed to them here?
I don't know if it really does anything to them. I mean, just think about any great team that has an amazing season, or in this case, the second half. Like, I don't really think it diminishes their record or what they're doing in the second half. What
do you think why is it that a team that has so much success against every other ball club second half of the season, they've only lost one, it's to us, and they come in, is it just, are they just not seeing the ball well? Do you think maybe they came in? I can tell you the first game against the Roadsters, the first game of that 3-game series, I was amazed at how the lack of concentration on their part. There were a lot of mental errors, just throwing balls over to first base when nobody's covering first base. A lot of stuff that seemed very uncharacteristic. Could it be that maybe they thought it was going to be a walk in the park at the end? Are they coming in after a long road trip on their own? Were they tired? What is it about our ball club that seems to, well, for 4 games at least, 3 games, we had their number?
Well, our park is pretty difficult to play defense in, and I think the shortstop and third baseman kind of like proved that throughout the series. Not to knock on them or anything like that, but I think the most impressive thing on our end when it came to playing them was we had that big turnaround where the guys had to get on the bus at like 6:30 in the morning, get off the bus at the park at 2 o'clock or something like that, and then turn around and play, when these guys still just got to make the 2-hour drive up to our field and play. Yeah. But in terms of what Modesto, I think that their head coach not being there really played a part in it, in terms of, like you say, focus. Yeah. Like, just take a head coach away from any team, and it's impressive if they continue to do well without their commander and staff. And we also didn't have our coach.
That's right.
For that too. But I just really think that those games that we played them, especially after coming back from Long Beach, again, like we're playing number 1 team in the league and then playing the number 1 team in the second half, and that long trip and turnaround, like, we were all, I should say as fans, were kind of like worried and just how it was going to go that day. And I mean, we jumped on them. I think we hit extremely well that series. And they just made errors at costly times.
That was so. It was so uncharacteristic, because they've been here before and they just seemed to be fundamentally sound out in the field. But there was one where they throw over to first base and nobody was there.
That was a weird play. Yeah. That was a weird play. Our Diego, our guy who does the stats, the live stats, was like, "What do we put for that?" Like, is that a hit? Is that an error? Is that a defensive indifference? Like, what is it? And I think we just put it as a hit and just like an RBI type thing. But I think our guys that didn't walk a lot of guys those 3 games, I think we kind of figured out how to pitch to their better players. Yeah. Especially Osiris Johnson. They just seem to really like throw a lot of the off-speed stuff. He still hit one out on a hanger one of the times, but
one of the odd things that with Osiris Johnson, he didn't play he wasn't in the starting lineup for the first game, which was odd.
I was going to mention that he wasn't in the starting lineup the first game, and then I think Boyd is his last name.
Yes,
Justin Boyd. Justin. He also wasn't in the lineup and is hurt and played. And then you text me and was like, "Hey, like, what happened to the infielder? Why?" Well, he got hurt after his first AB running the bases or something like that. So they're kind of banged up in terms of their infielders and their top of the lineup guys. But since we're on the Mosters, their catcher Dunhurst, I think is his last name, owns us.
Oh,
he has. I think he has 12 home runs this season, and he must have had 7 or 8 of them are against us.
I mean, if I was him, and the offseason comes up and folks are looking for a new home, if he isn't signed with the Roadsters, I would think that he'd be hitting us up because I just love hitting in your ballpark.
We put him. He was our first beer batter on our game.
Yeah.
When they came into town, I think in the second half, and he went like 3 for 5 with 3 home runs or something like that. And we were just like, dude, like, what are we doing? Like, let's not pick this guy ever again for beer batter.
Does it feel like, and for those that are watching, the beer batter player of the game is that we pick one guy in the lineup, and if he strikes out, then it's what, $2 off or $2 beers for the next 20 minutes at the
blonde ale, the Freebirds with Sutter Brewery. It's $2 for the next 10 minutes.
It just feels like every time we pick a ball player to be the beer batter player of the game, that's the night that he has the career night.
I think we're losing in the battle on that. We've had a few good ones. We had one where a guy struck out twice by the 7th inning, but every Friday or Saturday when alcohol's open for the whole game, and we've only gotten like 1 strikeout or no strikeouts. But it's really funny because we think about it and we try to go into it, and unfortunately when you look up the stats, the best hitters have the most strikeouts.
Yeah.
And the guys who don't have the best average, well, they don't have as many strikeouts as these other guys, which is like, okay, well, so, but on that point, the funny thing is like in college ball, it's really common to have like a beer batter. And so the joke was in certain places, and from my experience, is like some guys, they'd go up there and they wouldn't swing. Like they even with 2 strikes, like they wouldn't, because if the pitcher walked them, now the fans are going to be mad at the pitcher. And then if you striked him out, you made everybody in the park happy, or you go up there and you just bunt the first pitch every time, or just swing at the first pitch, put it in play, like
just to tick off the fans.
Yeah, and like you're trying to do, obviously, like guys in college ball and independent league, they don't think about it, I don't think, but it definitely is a mental aspect, like deep down in the mind of just like, oh, like dude, like I don't want to strike out.
Well, I know it just felt like whoever we picked was having their career night, and Bob Fischetti leaned over and said, maybe let's just try making one of our guys the beer batter player of the game, and they'll have a career night.
So that is an idea that we have for next year, of like we have a beer batter for the away team, and then we have a beer batter for the home team.
Yeah.
And if they get not a hit, but like if they get a double or an extra base hit or something like that, then it's also like $2 beers for the next 10 minutes.
Oh, that'd be awesome. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
And I mean, it increases the fan turnout and everything. And on that note, so the first game against the Roadsters, actually it was the second game, if I remember correctly, we actually went down, we came back, or both of the games against the Roadsters were walk-offs. In the 9th inning, the first
both
week.
by Chamizo, yeah.
Yeah, it was 6-6, I think, in the bottom of the 9th inning in the first game. Chamizo comes in, doubles, knocks in the guy from second, and then was it 9-9 in the second game, and we had come back in that one, and we had come back to tie it at 9, and Chamizo comes up, but the credit I give is that group of kids. There was a group of kids at the game.
Tarps off.
Yes.
Off, yeah.
And they started with the "Let's Go Freebirds" chant in about the 5th inning. And it was nonstop. And it started off in front of us, and then they moved over to the right field bleachers. And there must have been 25, 30 kids out there chanting, "Let's go Freebirds." The boys had their shirts off, and they're spinning them around, the tarps off stuff. That was just awesome.
So we had a pretty good turnout Friday and Saturday, and there was a lot of kids Friday. I mean, like a lot of kids. And like you said, they were up by us in the press box. Press box, we have our windows open, and like watch the game. We shut all the windows. So finally, somebody came up and was like, "Hey guys, like go over there and start doing the Let's Go Freebirds." And we were just like, "Thank you so much for doing that." But it was 4 innings straight. We almost came back on the Sunday game as well.
Yeah.
And we came, 8-run deficit, something like that, and we lost by 2.
It started going through, and I remember thinking, oh my gosh, if we do it again. And that takes us back to the thought that I had before. the thing about the Roadsters is they're such a good ball club, and we see this on our side. First time through the lineup, you'll see a little bit of success, but the second time through the lineup against the same pitcher, that's where they start making their adjustments.
Yep.
You leave them in for a third time, and that's where the real run scoring starts, because now everybody's made their adjustments, and it seemed like the cure to that was, starting with the second game, I don't recall any pitcher facing any batter more than twice in the game. They get through one time through the lineup, start the second time, and we were having a new pitcher come in. And they really started running. Now, obviously, you can't do that for the whole season, but there seemed to be some success with that.
It's the hardest thing to do as a pitcher is to get a guy out 3 times in one game.
Yeah.
If you see him. And it's happens more often in 9-inning games, but the thing, again, like I said earlier, that I just think they kind of figured out how to pitch to those guys and get them out and minimize the damage. I'm sure if we go back and look at the walks for those Friday and Saturday games, that we didn't have that many walks. And if we did, it was early on in the game with the starters, and the bullpen guys didn't really walk anybody. And Sunday, the walk bug kind of got us a little bit,
Yeah.
Which hurt us in the long run. But like the hitters, Kirchner is, absolutely killing the ball. He has half the ABs as Chamizo, and he almost has the same RBIs. Like, I think we found the RBI guys, and last time I was on the show, we talked about how Chamizo gets the inning going and hits really well and just refuses to get out. And then now Kirchner, who hits behind him, really just starting to just like drive guys in when it matters.
You had, talking about the walks there and figuring them out, you had mentioned something the last time that we were on the show that I paid attention to, started incorporating in the on-air broadcast for the games, talking about how the ABS system tends to favor the hitters over the pitchers. And explain why that is.
So my thing is when you're pitching, you throw a ball, and a lot of our guys will look back up at the ABS system. Well, if it's out, high, low, or in. Like, maybe on the corners, you might want to take a look, but like, it's a mental thing if you're looking at that to have some confirmation of where the ball is. Like, you should know as a pitcher, and I'm not criticizing our pitchers by any means, but it's just like a mental toughness kind of thing where if like the pitch is really close, like almost touching the zone on the outside corner, and it's a ball on the screen, don't look up there. Great pitch.
Yeah.
You miss by half of an inch. If you watch an MLB game, they show you the decimal points and and the reason it favors the hitters is because especially Modesto is great at this, and it's super annoying when you watch them hit. But like Osiris and Tyler Williams, they go up there and they just calmly just sit there and they just take the first pitch.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, well, now if it's a ball, like, I have the upper hand of the count. And it's like, the ABS system makes it to where you definitely have to fill up the zone, and makes it difficult as a pitcher to just deceive guys, I would say. Because if the pitch is close and it's a ball, if you're a really good hitter and you have a good eye, now you know that pitch or any pitch that's further away than that is just automatically a ball for the rest of the game. It's not a buffer zone, or some of these umpires that we see on TV. Long Beach, don't want to talk a lot of smack this episode. I talked a little bit of smack last episode. But I will talk smack on the umpires.
Did you get grief for that?
No, not too much grief. I looked it back a couple times, and I was like, I was a little bit negative on some points. But I will talk smack on umpires that have bad zones, because I played. It's tough. It favors the pitchers. And when we were in Long Beach, a few of our batters got hosed on really bad calls. And to where it's like, now you have us, we have ABS system. Modesto now has ABS system for the rest of the season. And
they have ABS all calls, balls and strikes?
Yeah, so Al, the guy who works for our company, went down to Modesto and set it up for him. Their guy came up and recorded me how we set it up and what goes on and stuff like that. And so he set it up to where now they have it all the games. But now, like I was going to get at is, you go from a park that has ABS, you play 6 games, 9-game homestand, and then you go to a Long Beach, and it's up to the umpire.
Yeah.
And if you burn your challenges,
you're done.
You have to battle. You got to defend. It's a completely different game with ABS versus out of ABS for the hitters. So ABS pitcher favored umpires, I would imagine, hitter favored pitchers. at away games for us, I would imagine they do better because they have those umpires that are going to be a little bit more iffy on the corners.
Well, you had mentioned that the last time. I really started paying attention to, and we'll get to a stat that I think you and I both agree is just killing us, the number of free passes that folks get on base and where our ball club sits compared to everybody else. But I really started paying attention to how close the pitches are that are being called a ball that are leading to the walks. And I noticed out there, I think it was Valdez, he's just missing just a little. His game is painting the corners, and I'm looking at his frustration. I know he's thinking, if I'm not here, I'm getting those calls. If I'm not here, I'm getting those calls. And now I got to alter where I'm pitching and how I go for pitching at my ballpark versus on the road. I'm going to get that call. And it forces me to come in a little bit more. And I could see there how it favors the hitter, because he was walking guys, but he was so close. It was just missing by just a fraction of an inch. And it's calls that I know he's getting on the road.
Yeah, and like if you watch the road games, like they don't show it on the scoreboard or anything like that, but you can tell, especially with like hitters' frustrations or stuff like that, if they strike out on a borderline pitch, that it's just like at our park it's a walk.
Yeah.
And like it's a walk. And the free passes thing, I said before, it's like kind of like a bug. And like the 2 games we played against Modesto, Friday and Saturday, we didn't have the bug those 2 games. And then Sunday it seemed kind of like a bug to where it just kind of got batoned off to the other guys.
So let's talk about that. By free passes, we're talking about walks and hit by pitch.
Yes.
And just any time where a person gets on base, either by way of a walk or a hit by pitch, and you went and looked at the numbers about where our ball club stands over the season compared to a few other ball clubs, and where are we at?
So hopefully after this we'll go on to a more positive.
Yes.
Okay. So I checked a couple weeks ago, I think it was 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, and we broke the 600 mark. And then the past 2 weeks, we've now broken the 700 mark. And the math in terms of like innings pitched versus walks and hit by pitches, we're giving up almost 10 plus free bases on average a game. Now, we might have a game where we only walk 4 guys, but throughout the entire season, we're pretty much giving up 2.5 free runs worth of base runners. So when you go back and look at it from a fan point, a coach point, it's just kind of like a thing where, well, do we pound the strike zone and then now our pitchers have worse ERAs or worse this, worse that? And it becomes a thing to where we're at 730 walks now and hit by pitches. And the next closest team, I think, is 40 below us when I looked up, 50 below, something like that. And then the next team is like 100 below us. So it's like we're definitely like a big step ahead of the top 10 teams in the league in terms of like pitching, in terms of free bases.
Now, what I'd like to do, and this is all analytics, and I don't have this stat, but the stat I'd like to see is how do we compare road versus home with all of that? Because how many are we walking on average at home versus how many we're walking on average on the road, given that the strike zone is a little more hitter friendly at Bryant Field?
I personally believe that our pitchers pitch better on the road.
Yeah.
I think that since I'm at every home game, you're at every home game, we kind of have like the bias of we walk a lot of guys at home. We've played 83 games now, and we're almost at 10 walks a game. Mm-hmm. If you look at it, 83, 730, like it's nine walks a game pretty much. So I would imagine it's close to being the same here or there, but in terms of away and road, like we have a really bad road record, 9-29, and I think that comes back when I go and look at the scores. Like we only scored 2 runs, 3 runs, but then recently we just won 3 games on the road, and they hit the ball really well. And one of the games we lost was a knockout round, and it was 9-9,
yeah,
10-10, something like that. And so I think when we go on the road, it kind of plays into the factor, like you said, of like our hitters kind of struggle a little bit because we don't have ABS. And then I personally believe we don't have it to any way to pull it up, I don't think, unless you go and look at like game splits for the away games. But I really believe that our pitchers do pitch better. At least our starters normally do. And the bullpen guys, are the bullpen guys. We've had a lot of guys who are doing a lot better out of the bullpen. We got Pfeiffer back and is healthy and pitched really good. I think Sean Weiss competes, but a lot of the guys get put in tough situations, and sometimes they succeed, and then other times they just kind of let the ball roll down the hill. But I do think that we're playing a lot better in the second half as a group than we were in the first half.
Well, and look, what we've been talking about, and we've been focusing a lot on the pitching and walks and hits, but the games have still been very close.
Yes.
And the reason why these games have been close is we have an offense that can score with anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, our hitters can score with anybody. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the top performers that are hitting. You talked about Zach Chamizo, but the one that I see that's been really coming on, and you mentioned, is Kirchner. He's only been with the ball club for a little over a month now, but
he's 29 games.
29 games, and he's already nearing the team lead in home runs. He's had several multi-home run games. Let's talk about what he's doing
in home runs.
What's that?
He's leading the team in home runs.
He's leading now?
Yeah, unless Chamizo hit one the past couple nights.
So Chamizo hit one, I think it was last night. So he's got 13 on the season, Chamizo does.
Yeah, Kirchner's got 14 on this list. And this was excluding this afternoon's game that was wrapping up.
So right now they're playing in Ogden. They're playing the Ogden Raptors. Well, I say right now, they just finished their series against the Raptors. They'll be on the road tomorrow, they're going to Idaho Falls to start a 6-game set against the Chuckers. And what did they do against the Ogden Raptors? Let's see, what did they do here? On the 19th, they won 12-6. Mm-hmm. That was a good game for them. Trying to see who went yard in that one. Cooper Hext and Andrew Kirchner both had home runs in that game. Christian Castaneda, Isaac Nunez, Zeb Rose all three had doubles. Just a great game for the offense there. You turn to the 20th. They ended up losing that game 20-7, and the real blowout. I don't know what happened in the bottom of the 8th inning, but that was an 11-run inning for the Raptors.
So when I looked it up, and it was just a walk thing. And I want to stop saying that so badly, but it's just one of those things where we just start walking a lot of guys. And it turns into, I think, like a 8-run inning or something like that, 8 or 9 runs in just one inning. But the thing that we have going for us is, especially two of the new guys are from Fullerton, Max Ortega and Eli Lopez. And one of the cooler things that happened, I don't think it was the Modesto series. I think it was the following series. But first professional AB hits a home run.
That was Eli Lopez, wasn't it?
Yeah. So Eli Lopez, first professional AB, first pitch he sees, hits a home run. And for those who are at home, or for those who haven't seen this guy yet, he's like 5'7", $175, $180, like a pretty smaller player, really fast, but just goes first pitch bomb.
Wow.
In his first professional hit. And the two, I was growing up West Coast baseball guy, and Fullerton was always a really good baseball school, and they always had really good baseball players. And even if those players didn't play that well in terms of their college career at the end, or they didn't have like amazing stats and they don't get drafted, like they're ball players. And the cool thing where I'm going with this is we have 7 guys now who are all hitting above 300 that are in our starting lineup.
Wow.
And Lopez is a new guy. He's only had 10 ABs, but he's got 6 hits. One of them was a home run. The Ortega guy has been really hitting well, almost 400. He had a great. I was high on him last time I was on the show. And then you got Kirchner, Chamizo, Zeb Roos, and Duarte. And then you have another 2 guys who are right around 300, 291, 296. And it really, I think, helps a couple of the guys who are banged up, that have been getting a little bit less playing time, especially Diego Aragon. I don't know if you noticed in those 6 games we had at home, but he, I think, only caught 2 of the games.
Yeah.
And Ortega was
in a little bit more.
Yeah, but I think he's banged up a little bit. I don't know for sure, but he's caught how many games has Diego played in? He's played in 54, and of course Chamizo's played in 79. But besides Castaneda, and some of these might be pinch hits, by the way, but Diego, Castaneda, Donahue, and Devin Dixon are all almost at 70 games, and Chamizo too. He's at 80 games. But like those 6 guys have played almost every game of the season. We played 83, and Chamizo's played in 79.
Well, we do have I do have some updated stats here because the second game. So what happened with Ogden's game? The game against the Raptors last night was suspended due to rain, so they finished it up today.
By the way, I forgot to tell you earlier when I went back on the broadcast and nobody really said if the game was over. They called it the last minute of the broadcast before they go to the break. It was pouring really badly, so it stopped because of lightning, but then the camera, you could tell it was dumping.
Tristan Wolf, I think, uploaded some video of him and and I think it was Devin Norton were having fun in the rain. Let's put it.
I saw that.
Running around. So they finished that game up today, and the Freebirds, I think, won that 12-9, and then they won the second game 12-9. Chamizo hit 2 home runs in the second game. So after that game,
so he's leading. He's taking the lead back.
He's at
over.
15. He's at 15 home runs. Kirchner is at 14. Kirchner homered in the first 3 games in Ogden.
He can hit, man.
But you just look at he's hitting 359 on the year. Chamizo's hitting 343. I don't know where our offense would be this season without Zach Chamizo in the lineup. I mean, he has been an anchor to the offense.
I think that there's a few guys that you could point out that we've had. And we're down to, I think, 7 or 6 remaining guys, and or nine, and 5 of those are position players, and all 5 of those position players are just the anchors of the team in terms of production and getting on base. And
who do you single out in that group?
Chamizo for sure. I'm a huge fan of Aragon. For how many games he's caught, and just he coming out of Colorado last year and Frank bringing him over, he didn't hit very well. I think 250, 260. I could be wrong. And this year he's above, almost at 300. He's hit home runs at our home park. He puts the ball in play. His big thing that Robbie, our third base coach, bench coach, got ejected one of the games we were at home, was hilarious. Love you, Robbie. I sent him a text and he loved it. But he's been working with Diego a lot on swinging at first pitches, and so I watched a lot of Arizona Diamondback games. And their Corbin Carroll, their right fielder superstar, their big guy, he swings at first pitches all the time now. And last year he didn't. And so I think that's a thing where I never tried to really do that. But if you think about it, it's a great opportunity to make contact and put the ball in play, because the difference between you having a better average if it's a ball one or versus it's a strike one are very different in terms of you getting on base. Mm-hmm. And I think that's helped him out a big time. And then the hometown hero, Cooper Hex, that everybody loves. Yeah. I think him and Zeb, the first couple of weeks they struggled a little bit, and we were kind of all up in the press box, and our field guy and a lot of the fans are kind of like, oh man, why are we still hitting these guys 1-2? Maybe our other guys should be hitting 1-2. And sure enough, a month goes by and they're leading the team in terms of getting the game going.
I remember Cooper Hex from last year, and I was one of those that when I saw his name pop up that he is with the ball club again, I was, to the extent my 58-year-old body will let me do it. Also, just metaphorically, I was doing backflips.
Yeah.
Because first off, he's got deceptive speed. He is so fast out there in the outfield. I knew that outfield wasn't going to be an issue. Not that I really thought center field was an issue before. I just knew that we weren't going to have any decline. If anything, it was going to get better. But I also knew he could hit, and I when Kirchner came to the ball club, scuffled for the first couple of games, and then he took
jet lag.
off.
Jet lag. It's hard to come in, and Ortega's the only guy this year who's defeated that.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know if you remember Yamal George, the other catcher we had, but he also came in and was hot and then started to do bad. But
Kyle Carlson came in, hit 2 home runs his first 2 games of the ball club as well.
But in terms of starting good, and then either only getting better or just continuing to play at that high level.
But I just know that Kirchner, the first couple of games, I didn't know anything about him. But then once he settled in, it was great. This is great. So when Cooper Hex came in, coming over from the East Coast, because he's playing in the Frontier League,
Yep.
coming over from the East Coast, I had learned my lesson with Kirchner. Don't judge a person.
Yes.
Don't judge him on his first couple of games. So let him go a couple of games, and then he took off, and it was awesome.
I don't remember, but it depends on who we were playing too.
Yeah.
Because we're playing Long Beach a lot, we're playing Modesto a lot, and we touched on it earlier, like away versus home. I think the weakness also that our hitters face sometimes is there are still very good pitchers on these teams. And it might only be 1 or 2 starters per team. And again, they play 6 games. Like, we only see Eggy pitch 1 game in a homestand. We only see our guys pitch 1 game in the homestand. And they go to these other parks, and we might not have even seen this guy at our park yet in terms of pitching and doing good. And they have a sub-4 ERA. They get guys out. They're really good pitchers. And I think those are the games that we either get blown out or we lose in terms of, like, our hitters don't do well. We're probably facing one of the top 20 pitchers in the league that night, and it's just something that we're missing, so we just kind of forget to be like, oh, okay, like maybe that's why our pitchers didn't do that good that night.
I know that with Kirchner, the other thing was he started his first 2 games he was playing at first base. The third game where he really started hitting, he did okay, but he played that third game out in right field, and he had 3 throws over to third from right field that were like, oh my gosh.
So he played outfield in Utah this week. I'm pretty sure there was at least 2 games I tuned in for, and he was in the outfield. And I don't know if he's not allowed to play outfield at our park or just because it's a short porch in right field, so there's no reason to put him out there in terms of his arm. But
he's got a cannon.
He only plays first base for us pretty much at home. Yeah. There's only been 2 or 3 games, and we touched on it last time. But whenever it's a road trip, I see different guys at first base. And I don't see Kirchner, but he's in the lineup, and so he's obviously out in right field. And I call him Robot, just the way he carries himself. But he's him and Chamizo, and I'd throw Aragon in that category too. They have so much confidence in the box. And Chamizo, like we said, he's played so many games this year. He's only missed 4 games, and I think 3 of those was the homestand before where he had a bad back, and they were like, no, dude, like, we just get healthy. And he's looked a little bit off, a little bit different. He had the 2 walk-offs that were great, but I mean, again, it comes down to confidence. He was 1 for 4 or 0 for 4 going into one of those, and the other one I think he was 1 for 4, and he just gets the job done when it matters. But the confidence is a huge thing in the box, and I'll give Isaac Nunez some praise too. He was almost below 200 a couple weeks ago. Plays really well in the Long Beach series. Plays really well at home for those 6 games, and he's almost back up to 260, something like that. I don't know if he played today and didn't do that well, but he was, I'd say, on the verge of being that Mendoza line that everybody jokes about in baseball, where if you hit like below 200, like you're just not a good hitter. And he got hot and started hitting really well, and he's really comfortable and has a lot of confidence in the box. Maybe that's why they picked him to do the knockout round.
Do you think that to what extent do they benefit playing at altitude in Ogden, Utah?
Well,
versus here, where it's sea level up there, they're not quite a mile high, but they're a lot higher than we are here.
My personal experience comes from Nevada.
Yeah.
And if anybody's ever been to the University of Nevada Reno's ballpark, it makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
Now, 500 feet, 600 feet, 800, but like once you get above, I'd say 1,000, 1,200, like the ball goes another 10 plus feet. And you can tell by how fast the ball gets out of the infield. When you hit a line drive or you hit a deep fly ball, like it just seems like the ball is snapping out of the air and just going, especially if it has backspin.
Yeah. Yeah, I look at the stats. I was just going based upon the offensive numbers that I saw here for the series in Ogden, and we didn't. How many people did we have? We had Missoula. The Paddleheads came in, but we didn't have anybody else who plays at altitude come into town this year, did we?
No.
Yeah. So
the beginning of the year, we had the. That's what you said.
We had the Paddleheads come in.
We had the Paddleheads, and then the team that came in before, was it Oakland? A week and a half ago. Were they from out of town?
Oakland came in from out of town. So the only teams we've had come in from out of town have been Oakland, Modesto, Long Beach, the Mobiles. Mm-hmm. I don't think we've had anybody else, and the Paddleheads. Those are the only 5 teams we've had come in. I think.
Thought that.
We had the Boise, the Hawks.
That's the Hawks. So that's the team I was thinking of.
Yeah.
So we've only had 2 teams from altitude, but even then, I don't think that their stadiums at altitude. But they didn't hit very well that series either. Their lefties pulled a few home runs and stuff like that, but they didn't really hit that series that we played in those 3 games.
Yeah. Well, what do you see from the ball club? What do you expect there? How do you think they're going to do going against the Raptor, not the Raptors, but the Chuckers next week?
Remind me what they're. I don't want to have to look up on my phone, I should say, but I think they're also another team that, if I'm not mistaken, their pitching isn't that great. I could be wrong. I know the Pioneer League website, if you just go to like team stats and then pitching, it'll tell you our ranks. Like we're, I think, 10th in pitching. I really it popped in my head earlier that we were going to get 6 wins and just sweep them and not lose a game with just how good our hitters are. I don't know if they're at elevation. I would imagine they are. But we're playing good. Almost every game but the one game this week that was a blowout has been close and competitive. And as long as our pitchers stay away from the walks and they continue to get guys out when it matters, I think that, in my mind, I think we win 6 games.
So the Chuckers, I think they may have a lot more to play for. You know, it's the top 2 teams from the first half of the season punch their ticket to playoffs, and then the top 2 teams from the second half of the season. And if either of the top 2 teams in the first half end up in the top 2 at the second, then they go to the next teams. So you look here, the Roadsters, I think, are probably going to get into the playoffs. They lead the second half standings at 27.
You said we're playing the Chuckers, right?
And we're playing the Chuckers. They're in 4th place.
So they have the worst pitching though in the league.
Do they?
Yeah. So if on the Pioneer stats, they have the worst pitching. I don't know what ranks them, but we're 9th and they're 12th in pitching.
I think they're fighting with the Billings Mustangs for that last playoff spot, and right now they're a game behind them. So they got a lot to play for.
They do. But we talk about it all the time. The West Coast side of the league, we beat up on each other.
Yeah.
And we're the only team that's beat Modesto this entire second half. And I don't know if that's just Long Beach. They know they're in the playoffs, so they're just kind of coasting, or they're just kind of save guys, keep them healthy, and maybe they're not pitching their guys as often, something like that. But if you look at the pitching, who's played the best first half? Long Beach. Guess what rank they are? Number 1 in pitching.
Yeah.
Modesto's played the best second. Guess what rank their pitching is? Second. So I think pitching is kind of like the tail, but again, that's why I think we have a chance to beat these out-of-state teams, because this team's 12th in pitching, and then if they're playing that well, I'm sure their hitting is top 5. They're number 2 in hitting. So it's going to come down to first 1 to 20 wins.
Yeah.
I think. And it's number 9 pitching versus number 12 pitching, and number 11th hitting, which I don't think says a lot because it includes all the guys that we've gotten rid of stats in this. So, but I think if you take our group right now and you put them against this team and their hitting, I think we still have a chance to go out there and win.
So I guess the long and short of it is, if you were gonna pony up to go on the HTN network to ever watch the Freebirds on the season, it's this next week's the one you're going to want to watch.
We could beat that 54-run record game.
Yeah.
These next 6 games with how good these 2 offenses are, and with how struggling the bullpens are. I wouldn't be surprised. Again, I think our bullpen's gotten a lot better the past 2 weeks. Starters still, it's a flip of the coin when the starters go out there. It seems like either it's good or it's bad, or it's good and then it kind of falls apart towards the end. But they've been pitching a lot better. I do really think our bullpen's done a lot better. And if we have the lead and we get Rain on the mound, it's almost like a slam dunk.
That is, and we could probably wrap it up with just talking about what Rain Pfeiffer's done on the year coming in. And now look, the best performances that I've seen him pitching against his old ball club,
that's crazy.
The Roadsters.
I still can't wrap my head that they got rid of this guy.
Yeah.
Before they go into playoffs. I get it, they're loaded, they have the second best pitching in the league, but how is that guy not sticking around on that team going into playoffs?
I know, and But you know what? I think for our pitching staff and our coaching staff, like, hey, your loss, our gain. We're happy to have him.
Well, so we had that 3-game stand against Modesto before we went, I think, to Long Beach. And Diego Aragon, we talked about it. Diego Aragon had a heck of a game. He just put us in the lead by a run with the 2-run home run. Drew Aguirre comes in, and to like what you said earlier, he walks a few guys, but they were great ABs, and the pitches that he missed on the walks, like he celebrated 2 of the walks because he thought it was a strike, and the ABS said it was a ball.
Yeah,
and they were like really close pitches. And then Rain comes in, gives up a grand slam, which they weren't his runs, but the one, and then starts walking guys, and then he was like MIA for like a week and a half, like a week, like whether it was hurt or whether it was psychological, like. I'm just sitting there like, God, when's Rain going to get back out there? When's Rain's going to get back out there? And then he came back out on that Sunday when we had that early game. So he came back a week after that Modesto series and was pitching against Oakland. And it was Sunday, that early game, struck out the side. Shiloh, our music guy, had his little Let the Rain Fall Down on My Skin song for him going, and he was loving it. And ever since then, he's been brought out in situations where we need a win or a hold, and it's been nothing but just lights out confidence, striking everybody out, and just sealing the ball game.
And it was awesome to see him come in and be able to do that against his former ball club.
Yes. He also said, I don't know if you got to talk to him at all, but he was like, that felt amazing. Like that was great that I got to do that, because they don't think I'm good enough to be on their team for the playoffs or anything like that.
I know I had a comment on the air, caught a little grief for it, but I said, well, it just goes to show you that warm rain melts snow any day of the week.
Yeah,
so.
It was a good one.
Well, all right. I think with that, we're coming up on the top of the hour here, and Brett Bloomfield's joining us here on the Freebirds weekend wrap-up. We've talked about how they're doing. They got another week on the road. Then they're going to come back for a 6-game homestand against the Oakland Ballers, and then they'll call it a season at that. But you should really come out and to see the ball club against the Ballers if you want to see to really fight it and go at the Ballers. There's a lot on the line in terms of pride. I mean, that's our, we call it the 80 series. They're just down the 80 over there in Oakland,
and we lost last year. So
yeah.
The last thing I'll say is we talked about we play Modesto and Long Beach so much. So we play Modesto or Long Beach 24 plus times each. And then we only play Oakland 16 times or 18 times, something like that.
Yeah.
So like a whole series less against Oakland, which is crazy.
Yeah, look, the majority of our ball games have been against Long Beach and Modesto.
Number 1, number 2.
Yeah, and the series kind of shows it. But again, we got an offense that'll compete with anybody. I
really hope that next time I see you, I get to be like, I told you we'd win 6 games.
Well, we're going to be back on it next Saturday. Next Saturday again, 4 p.m. That'll be our probably our last in-season Freebirds show here. We'll have you on, and you can go ahead and you can go ahead and tell me that you told us so. They will have only played 4 of the 6 games. They'll probably be in progress on the 5th game.
Yep.
But that'll give us a chance to see where they're going. So for Brett Bloomfield, I'm Todd Kuhnen. For Mason Kuhnen, the engineer extraordinaire who's been the silent strength behind the engineer's table. Thank you for joining us here on the Freebirds Show. We'll see you next Saturday, 4 p.m. for more Freebirds baseball.